It's May 5th, 2024, and we're going to hear and view a class that Srila Prabhupada gave in New Vrindavan, West Virginia, on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6. This is a very well-known Bhagavatam verse. Of all the verses in the Bhagavatam, this is the one Prabhupada lectured on the most. I think maybe the only other verse in all of his books that he lectured on more was Bhagavad Gita 7.1. I'm going to try to do the share screen thing. Let's see here. Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay. Are you hearing me, Kim?
I am. Can you repeat the Bhagavatam verse?
Yes. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6.
Thank you.
I think about the first 7 minutes, it's the devotees there chanting the verse in the Sanskrit, and then Prabhupada's talk begins around the 7-minute mark. Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I hate to tell you this sounds illegible for some reason. Maybe it'll get better when they're not singing. I don't know.
What's happening?
The sound is illegible. I don't know if it's because they're singing and maybe it'll clear up when he's talking, but right now it's illegible for some reason. It's just all garbled.
I think it's because there was just like all this background talking. So
Okay.
yeah, okay. We'll get to it.
By which? Bhakti, devotional service, unto the transcendent, Ahoy Tuki, Jaya, Translation. The supreme occupation, or dharma, for all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self.
Is struggling for existence for the ultimate happiness. Material world, although they are thinking by possessing material wealth, they will be satisfied. But that is not that. For example, in your country, you have sufficient material opulence. In other countries, but still there is no satisfaction. spite of all good arrangements for material enjoyment, enough food, enough nice apartments, motor cars, roads, and very good arrangements for freedom in sex, and good arrangements of defense also. Everything is complete, but still people are dissatisfied, confused, and younger generation, they are turning to pity, regret, or dissatisfied because they are not happy. Several times cited the example that in Los Angeles, when I was taking my morning walk in Beverly Hills, many hippies were coming out of a very respectable house. That he had his father. He was a very nice car also. But his dress was hippie. So, then the protest against the so-called material life, they do not fly. Actually, we cannot be happy by material purpose. That is a fact. That is also stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj says, his atheistic father, his father was Hiranyakushi. Hiranya means gold, and Kasipu means soft bed, cushion. That is material civilization. They want very soft bed and bed companion and sufficient bank balance money. That is another meaning of Hiranyakushi. So, he was not happy. Hiranyakushi was not happy. At least he was not happy that his son Prahlad was becoming a devotee of the Lord, which he did not like. So, he inquired from his son that how you are feeling. You are a small boy, child. How you are feeling so much comfortable despite all my threatening. So, what is your actual effect? He replied, my dear father, nothing you have to go in Vishnu. Foolish person, they do not know that the ultimate goal of happiness is Vishnu, God, the Supreme Lord. Durasayadi Vatinathamani. Durasaya. To hope against hope. They are hoping something which is never to be fulfilled. What is that? Durasayadi Vatinathamani. Vatinat. Waiting exam. Also means interest. So, those who do not know that the ultimate goal of happiness is Vishnu, they think that by adjustment of this external world, because we have got external and internal. Externally, we are this body. Internally, we are soul. Everyone can understand. I'm not this body. I'm soul. I'm covered by this body. And as soon as I go away, body, a very important soul's body, great scientist body, but the body is not the scientist. The soul is the scientist. The body is instrumental. Just like I want to catch something, so the hand is my instrument. Therefore, in Sanskrit world, the different parts of the body links, they are called koron. Koron means act, acting. By which we act. Koron. So, nothing to do Shastra. We are now illusion under the concept of this body. That is also described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Jnana Buddhi Kunapi Siddhati. Asa Buddhi Kunapi means bag. This is a bag of bones and muscles and skin and blood. Actually, when we dissect this body, what we find? A lump of bone, skin, and blood, intestine, blood, fat, nothing else. So, Kunapit is Asuti. These things are manufactured by three dhatu. Anyway, Koko, Pitta, Vayu. Koko, Pitta, Vayu, and here. These things manufacturing, these things are going on. After eating, these three things are being manufactured. And if they are in adjustment, balance, then body is healthy. And if there is more or less, then there is disease. According to Ayurvedic, there is also say, Ayu means a span of life, and Veda means knowledge. That is called Ayurveda. So, this Vedic knowledge of the span of life is very simple. They don't require pathological laboratory cleaning, no. They require simply to study these three elements, copper, pitta, vayu. And their science is to feel the pulse. You know, every one of you, that the pulse is moving, tick, 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 like this. So they know the science. By feeling the beating of the pulse, they can understand what is the position of these three elements, copper, pitta, vayu. And by that position, constellation, in the Ayurveda, there are the symptoms. These veins are moving like this, heart is moving like this, looking like this, then the position is this. As soon as they understand the position is this, they verify the symptoms. They inquire from the patient, you feel like this, you feel like this. If you say yes, then it is called pulse. The inner things of the pulse is beating, and the symptoms are alpha, then the medicine is doing immediate to take the medicine. Very simple. And normally, every Brahmin used to learn these two sciences, Ayurveda and Jyotirveda. Jyotirveda means astronomy, astrology, not astronomy. Because any other means they less intelligent than Brahmin, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, they meet the Brahmins for health and future. Everyone is very inquisitive to learn what is future, what is going to happen next. And everyone is concerned with the health. So Brahmin gives simple advice about health and the future. So that is a profession. People sit there, tables, cloth, so they have nothing to do for working outside. Anyway, this is a long story. So this body is a bag of the three elements. Deshatu buddhi, kulopi vidhatu. Was said, Deshatu buddhi, kulopi vidhatu. I'm not this body. This is a very this Prabhupada ride on a car, drive car. I am not this car. Similarly, this is a jantra, car, mechanical car. Krishna, God has given me this car, I wanted it. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Ishara, Sarvabhutana, Rikrise, Arjuna, Tishtati. My dear Arjuna, the Lord as Paramatma is sitting in everyone's heart. Brahman Sarvabhutani, Jantra Rurani, Maya. And he is giving chance to the divine entity to travel from one land. Sarvabhutani, all of the universe. Jantra Rurani, Maya. Riding on a car, driving a car, given by the material nature. That's where our position is that I am told I have been given a nice car. It is not a nice car, but as soon as we get a car, have a rock with many, we think that it is very nice. I want to be that car. I have got this car, I have got that car. One forgets, if one drives a very costly car, he forgets himself that he is a poor man. He thinks that I am his car. This is identification. So then Shaka Buddhi Kunapiti Dhapate Sadhit Parastra Subho Ityadi. One who takes this body as himself and self and bodily related, Sadhit, they are my own, my brother, my family, my nation, my community, my society, so many things, mine, I and mine. Misconception of I as his body and misconception of mine in relationship with body. Just that will take away to that way. Sadhik Parastra Vishu Bhomajyati. Bhomajyati. Bhumi makes land. Ijjat. Ijjat means worship. So, at the present moment, it is very strongly conceived that I am this body, I am American, I am Indian, I am European, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Brahmin, I am Kshatriya, I am Shudra, I am this, those, so many. This is very strong. And Karma is the, and because I am identifying with a certain type of body, and when from the body has come out, the land is what? That is nationality. So, the Shaka Buddhi Kunapeti Dhapate Sadhik Palastra Vishu Bhomo Vichadi. just think the buddhi holiday. And he thought, place of big man. We go, we take bath in the river. There is Christian, they take bath in the Jordan river. Hindus, they go to Haridwar, take bath in Ganges, Vrindavan, they take bath. But they think by taking bath in that water is his job is finished. No. Actually, the job is to go to such independent, holy places to find out, experience spiritual advancement. Because you have many spiritual advancement to live there. Therefore, one should go that places and find out the experience transcendental and take lessons from it. That is really going to teach you. Not that simply going and take bath and be just spiritual. No. So, Jachatum Tipunati Siddhati Sadikalapradisu Homoisti Jati Sabuddhi Saliluna Parviti Shanesu Avikinsu Avikin. One knows. We should have flow, but to know things very well. Avidya. Krishna is Avidya. Sarat. The similarly Krishna represented is also Avidya. President. If one associates with Krishna, if one talks with Krishna, he must be very Avidya, very learned. Because he takes lessons from Krishna. Therefore, Krishna's knowledge is perfect. Therefore, because he takes knowledge from Krishna, his knowledge is also perfect. Avidya. And Krishna thought, it is not that. It is no. Krishna, I have already said that Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart. And he talks with the bona fide person. This guy is a big man. He talks with some bona fide person. He doesn't waste his time talking his nonsense. He talks as a fact, but he does not talk with nonsense. He talks with the bona fide representation. How it is known? It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Tetam Sadhudujittanam. He is bona fide representation. Tetam Sadhudujittanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Buddhishu Gamdadanikam. Krishna says that I give him intelligence. To whom? Sadhudujittanam. Those who are engaged 24 hours. In which way he is engaged? Bhajatam. Bhajan. Those who are engaged in devotion and service. What kind of devotion is that? Priti Purvakam, with love and affection. One who is engaged in devotion and service of the Lord, in love and devotion. What is the symptom of love? Love. The symptom, the prime symptom, most important symptom of love is that the devotee wants to see that his Lord's name, fame, etc. become widespread. He wants to see that my Lord's name be known everywhere. This is love. If I love somebody, I want to see that his glory is spread all over the world. And Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Nasatasman manaseti Pachitne Yaduttam. Anyone who preaches his glory, nobody is dearer to him than that person. Everybody is there to our. How we can love? What are the symptoms of love? How we can please God? How we can talk with you? Everything. But we have to take advantage. We read Bhagavad Gita, but by reading Bhagavad Gita, he become a politician. So what kind of reading Bhagavad Gita? Politician is there, of course, but the real purpose of reading Bhagavad Gita is to know Krishna. If one is Krishna, if one knows Krishna, he knows everything. He knows politics, he knows economics, he knows science, he knows philosophy, he knows religion, he knows sociology, everything. Tasmin vidyate sarvamedam vidyatam bhavanti. Then it is in English. He will simply understand God, Krishna, that everything will be revealed. God Krishna says, Buddhi Yogam Dharantam. It is not teaching intelligence from within. Who can explain it? Nobody can explain. But Krishna can give you intelligence. Provided you become a devote to a lover of Krishna. Tisang Sadhujuttanang Sadhutang Priti Purva. Buddhi Yogam Dharantam. And what is that Buddhi Yoga? What is the value of Buddhi Yoga? That Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, the value is Jenamanu Pujana. Such Buddhi Yoga, such intelligence, with getting back to home, back to order. Not that by such intelligence we go down to hell. That is material intelligence. Adanta Bhogi, Vishadanta Vishram, everything is start and power. For the materialist person, Adanta Bhogi, Adanta means unbridled, uncontrolled. Go means Indriya or senses. Materialistic person, they cannot control their senses. They are silent of the senses, go down. Go means Indriya, and that means silence. So, when you come to the position of controlling the senses, then you become Goswami. That is Goswami. Goswami means controlling the senses, who has completely controlled the senses. Swami or Goswami. Swami also means that, and Goswami also means the same thing. Similarly, Adanta Bhogi, Vishadanta Vishram. Uncontrolled senses, they are going. It is not that Krishna is sending it. He is making his own path clear. Either back to home, back to Godhead, or go glide down to the darkest region of hell. Two things are there. And that opportunity is in the human form of God. You can select. Krishna has the inquired from Arjuna whether your illusion has been dissipated. Now, after
Hare Krishna. Krishna. So we heard and viewed a lecture from Srila Prabhupada in 1972 in West Virginia, New Vrindavan. That lecture was on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 6. Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Hokshaje Ayutukya Pratyata Yayatma Suprasidati. Translation reads, the supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Yeah, my sense is the complete lecture got cut off, and then there's like another 12 minutes of devotees leading kirtan. Of, as far as I'm aware, of all the verses in Bhagavatam, this is the verse that Prabhupada lectures on the most. So he considers it a key verse amongst the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam. Of course, all the verses are transcendental, and Prabhupada lectured on this one. There's like 24 times. Perhaps, perhaps in all of his books, the only verse that I'm aware of that he lectured on more is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 1. And maybe there's some others in Bhagavad Gita where he lectured on more than this one. So that was Prabhupada, 1972, in New Vrindavan, West Virginia. Would anyone like to ask any questions, share any realizations or comments based on Prabhupada's class there? I'm here with Ramachandra Prabhu. Damayanti.
Hare Krishna, thank you for playing Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. I missed the beginning of it, but I liked this part where he was breaking down the verse, Tesham Satatam Yuktanam, that whole verse.
Yes.
And I can't I can't even paraphrase it, but he's like, and what kind of devotional service? And then I think he answered, done with love, like,
Yes.
and what is love of God? And then he went to another place where Krishna describes who's most dear to him, and like I just like that sequence of when he broke all that down, and it made me want to go and share the names of God, or like basically that was what was said by Prabhupada, like like I want my Lord's name to be known everywhere. That's what love of God is, wanting Krishna to be famous and to be known, and it made me want to do something in that regard, because there it is. It's like, if that's what's true, then let's do it. That's how I responded to that. So it's not a question, just a comment.
Thanks for your comment. And actually, that was probably the sequence of the lecture that stood out to me most too. And so you're moved to want to go on Harinam Sankirtan today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's actually difficult to go, like it's a little difficult to go by myself. I've never gone by myself out. I mean, I've gone out with someone, maybe separated and come back together, but I'm thinking lately to join the devotees who are going on Friday evenings, just to dance and sing and to be out, even though it's maybe not the I don't know them, or maybe even I don't agree with the location so much, but that's what's happening Friday night. Just go, because I do enjoy it, and I don't know, it's like and then I was also thinking, the other thing I was thinking to do is just to create like a Facebook post, because people are online, and I can write something up about love of God with quotes. And I just think sometimes I think to bring my own personal writing and quotes, maybe even from a few different books, not a few different scriptures or path, not necessarily only Bhagavad Gita, but I like to do that, like universal messages. So those are two things that I got inspired to revisit hearing the class. So thank you.
Thank you, Damayanti. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Prabhupada. Yeah, well, in the class, first he talks about, okay, like trying to satisfy the body. He quotes an off-quoted verse from the Bhagavatam. Yasama buddhi kunapetri datuke. This body is it's a knapsack. It's a kunape. It's a sack made of blood and pus and bones. And he's got like, okay, so to whatever extent our goal is to satisfy the body, we won't be satisfied. We won't be satisfied. And he talks about Bhama Ijyadi, that, oh, because I was born in this land is worshipable, all based on the body. And then, yeah, then he goes to the, Tesham Satata Yuktanam 10.10. Krishna says, to one who serves me with love, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. And then Prabhupada gave the example of just in ordinary material love, which, we can call it lust, whatever. But material, if we love someone, we want their glories to be known. We want their glories to be known, their qualities. So then towards the end of the 18th chapter, towards the end of the whole Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, yes, this Nachatasmat Manusheshtu Kaschin Me Priyakritava, that this is my most dear servant, one who's dedicated to spread, one who's dedicated to share me and share this philosophy, share Bhagavad Gita, distribute prasad, distribute the holy name, distribute the transcendental philosophy, distribute the glories of Krishna's pure devotees. Of course, we know Srila Prabhupada epitomizes and embodies that. He had a very comfortable spiritual life there in Vrindavan, and he left at the age of about 70, just because he wants us to know about Krishna and Krishna's philosophy. So that's our line. We can, in one sense, we can assess our advancement by how enthused are we to take on difficulties, take on challenges, to share the Sankirtan movement, share and to cultivate it ourselves. Not that we're running away from our internal process in the name of sharing. At the same time, our line is one of sharing, of educating. We are Gostinanandis, not Bhajananandis. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada also said in the lecture that I remember him saying his knowledge is perfect, like the bona fide representative is perfect. And he really emphasized that Krishna is talking directly to, like a matter of fact. And anyway, I thought about your recent writing, Srila Prabhupada is Sastra. There's a quote to back up your writings, that Krishna is talking directly to the bona fide representative, and therefore that representative has perfect knowledge. So what is perfect knowledge? I mean, what is there a hierarchy? Sastra is above perfect knowledge, or I don't understand the distinction, if there is one. So if someone thinks there is one.
The distinction between what?
Like if someone would say, oh, what Srila Prabhupada said isn't Sastra, but Prabhupada's saying if Prabhupada's demonstrating that he is a bona fide representative, Krishna's talking to him directly, and if Prabhupada's saying that the bona fide representative has perfect knowledge, then what's the difference? But there is no distinction, but what I would say next, what is the distinction between perfect knowledge and Sastra?
Well, thanks for that.
That's all.
Prabhupada references, 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yo mameva masamudo pushottama, that one who knows Krishna is the knower of everything. So that's true. So my recent publication, hopefully pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, is entitled Srila Prabhupada Shastra, Perspectives on the Infallibility of Srila Prabhupada. And okay, so we hear, there's Shastra, there's Sadhu, and there's Guru, and then there's Super Soul. But in the conditioned state, we're not connected with Super Soul. So, so one Vaishnava scholar, he wrote in one of his articles that, there's Guru, there's Shastra, and there's Sadhu, and we don't collapse the distinction. collapse the distinction between them. So in Srila Prabhupada is Shastra, I wrote, actually, I do collapse the distinction. And then the Vaishnava scholar went on to say, no, because the process, the Vedic process, is that one needs to study Shastra to see who's a bona fide guru. So that is the Vedic process. And then I wrote in the booklet I wrote, but that's not my process. Okay. Practically, just very practically. Personally, I don't know about any of you, but growing up there in my childhood and teen years and early adult years, I didn't study the Rig Veda or the Shvetashvara Upanishad or the Brihad Naradiya Purana to determine the qualities of a bona fide spiritual master. So that wasn't that might be the traditional Vedic process, not my process. So my process is, Srila Prabhupada is self-revealing. And so personally, I feel very glad that I have no inclination to, well, okay, now here's something Prabhupada's saying, but I'm not so sure. Let me study the Sandarbhas. Let me study the Atharva Veda to see whether this part of what Prabhupada's saying is bona fide, which is exactly what the scholars, including, well, especially the scholars, especially in what's meant to be Prabhupada's movement, are saying. So I'm saying, no, anything coming from Srila Prabhupada, that is Shastra. That is infallible. That's my experience. It's my point of view, and it's completely supported. You reference this lecture has quotes to support that, so we include many quotes from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is Shastra. Srila Bhaktivedanta, he wrote, the Acharya can make Shastra. So whatever Srila Prabhupada does, it is Shastra. The true Acharya can make Shastra. So there's like the traditional Veda where you check Shastra to see who's a bona fide guru. And I'm not criticizing the traditional Vedas. I'm just saying it's not my process. And that's not my process. And so my process is Srila Prabhupada, like the Bhagavatam, like the sun is self-revealing. And if there's something that Prabhupada says that doesn't conform with my conceptions or my idea of logic or common sense or what's good, right, true, and beautiful, well, that would be really shocking. I mean, yeah, gosh, how is it that the pure devotee would ever say something that's not consistent with what I learned at Greenberg Elementary School and at Penn State University and from my modern and postmodern professors? I mean, I'm not open to the possibility that they could be wrong about anything. Okay. So we're or what to speak of them. Let's say if I read something on the internet, it's not agreeing with Prabhupada. I mean, how can we know? Like that. So yeah. So then I'm endeavoring to cultivate the consciousness. I've been endeavoring for 44 years or so. The consciousness that, like, if something I'm getting from Prabhupada, I'm not getting it. Maybe it's a mirror of my limitations, and so I'm cultivating an attitude of, I'm not sure how that's true, and I'm sure that it's true, and I'm in discovery. And I found hundreds, actually thousands of times through a spirit of discovery. Then later, maybe the next moment, maybe 10 years later, some dots connect in ways I could never conceive. And again, what's coming from Srila Prabhupada is transcendentally valid and true in ways that I could never get through my tiny mental cognitive faculties. And then we give some examples in Srila Prabhupada Shastra, because oftentimes, like, Prabhupada's portrayed amongst those who are leaders in organizations meant to represent him. Prabhupada's often portrayed as like very regressive and outmoded, maybe even classist and racist and sexist and just yes, and very backwards in his thinking, anti-scientific. So we give many examples where actually, particularly in areas where Prabhupada's criticized as being non-scientific, that actually the modern science, not the modern political correctness, but the actual modern science completely confirms what Prabhupada's saying. We give many examples. Now, in saying that, I'm not saying, so look, modern social science or modern physics, and it confirms what Prabhupada's saying, therefore we should accept Prabhupada. I'm not saying that, right? There's different epistemologies. There's the epistemology of anumana or inferential, empirical, logical, positivist science. There's the epistemology of just pratyaksha, what we experience with our senses. And then there's the epistemology of Shabda Brahman, Shastra, and the pure devotee. Okay, so other epistemologies never supplant or override or supersede Shabda Brahman. So when science or whatever ways of knowing, when they're apparently not in agreement with what I get from Prabhupada, my epistemological commitment has me accepting Prabhupada. And that's more and more true for me as years go on. Okay, but other epistemologies they can support, they can complement. And I give some examples where areas where Prabhupada's criticized because he's not up with the modern science. Actually, the modern science is completely supporting Srila Prabhupada, and those who are like, there's a lot of kind of like just jumping to try to point out how prejudiced and dogmatic Srila Prabhupada might be. And I'm endeavoring to illustrate that, well, maybe in some of those instances, we're not, we're driven to point out how prejudice and dogmatic Prabhupada it is because we're not looking at our own dogmatic biases and prejudices based on modern and postmodern mindsets and education. So thanks for mentioning the publication. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I could respond to that, but I'm happy to have others speak. I just was wondering if I don't know who you're speaking to, it doesn't matter, like the name, but somebody you're saying other people have written that we shouldn't collapse the distinctions between guru, sastra, and
sadhu.
sadhu.
Yeah.
And in that sentence, you were saying that they want to check who the guru is, if the guru is accurate. Do you think that they're against sastra, against scripture? So do you think that they're saying that in a protective way to help people make a distinction about who they pick as guru, or was that sort of something they were writing about to like basically make a point that Prabhupada could or does make mistakes and we need to always be checking on Prabhupada? Is it like a thing you do initially when you're finding a guru, or is it like a thing you continually do? I'm just curious if you've read, is this a continual thing that you're always doubting the spiritual master?
Okay, thanks for your questions. Thanks for your
I know
questions.
you can't answer unless you read someone say that, but I'm just curious if you can tell the context.
Yeah, sure. That, well, one thing I make it clear in my writing. My writing is not intrinsically a response, a review, or a critique of anyone else's articles. However, I read 5 or 6 articles from different persons in different Vaishnavas in a publication that came out in 2022. And those articles moved and inspired me with the clarity that these things need to be said. And so I came out with Srila Prabhupada Shastra, Perspectives on the Infallibility of Srila Prabhupada. They need to be said. Now, someone say, "Oh, but you're not really understanding what this author is saying, and then with this scholar, you're not really understanding." That could be. I'm not. And several times in the book, I say, maybe I'm not. Maybe if I really understood, we're saying the same thing. We're not. But whatever. I'm just saying, like, here's things that need to be said. Here's things that need to be said, and that like the perspective that Srila Prabhupada, like Shukadeva Goswami or Srila Vyasadeva, is not subject to the human defects of mistakes, illusions, this and that, okay, etc., etc. And whether I'm understanding this article or not, I'm endeavoring to understand Prabhupada, and I'm presenting perspectives to understand it. Now, as far as you gave like two different scenarios, and okay, so my understanding of what they're saying and have been increasingly saying and is becoming increasingly popular as the years and decades go on, is both scenarios are true. So one is, yeah, it's like a protective thing, because the traditional Vedic thing is before selecting a guru, yes, study Shastra to see if the guru is really aligned. You should test the guru. Okay. Then once you accept a guru and surrender, then there's no more, like skeptical questioning. Okay. They're still questioning, just like Arjuna surrenders to Krishna in chapter 2, text 7. But then he says, okay, well, Krishna, you say this, and then over here you say this. I'm not getting it. Could you explain? But Arjuna has complete trust that Krishna has the knowledge at that point. So it is like protective, and they are clearly also saying, yes, Srila Prabhupada makes mistakes and is subject to illusion, and he's influenced by the British, Indian, Bengali culture of the turn of the century, 1900. And so he has some backwards ideas. And after all, we don't like to say it, but you know, he was like an elderly Bengali gentleman, senile. They're saying that. Yeah, I mean, they're writing that, and they're trying to be polite, and that yeah, that Srila Prabhupada makes mistakes, and we need to so we need to check on what from Prabhupada is influenced and contaminated by the modes of nature. And so they're saying that too. They're saying that too. Yeah. And so when I just read that, and then I've been hearing that increasingly, but especially in the past decade, 10, 12 years, from those in positions of leadership in Prabhupada's organization, Srila Prabhupada's not Shastra. We need to check on Shastra. We need to check on modern science to see what coming from Srila Prabhupada is pure and what is contaminated. But don't get me wrong, Prabhupada's still a good guy. I mean, really, we're not trying to criticize. Hare Krishna. So just yesterday I went to the post office and I mailed out many copies of the hard copy of Srila Prabhupada Shastra. Any other comments or questions?
I'll just say that sounds really precarious to live like that. I mean, especially if you're a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and that's who's writing some of these things.
Yeah.
I can understand that things become deviated later, like, oh, well,
Yeah.
Prabhupada's not my spiritual master. He wrote these books, but my spiritual master is saying to doubt Prabhupada, and I'm surrendering to my spiritual master, and so I'm going to doubt Prabhupada. But then you're a disciple of Prabhupada, and then you want to lead people away from him or doubt it, or it doesn't seem like Prabhupada would teach this process. If Prabhupada's not teaching this process and you're concocting it, and but you supposedly are a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, I don't know, it just seems Like, 'cause this seems like a mess. Okay.
Yeah, I too experience it as a sad, painful mess. There's towards the closure, in the closing part of the booklet, Srila Prabhupada Shastra, I have in words of endorsement from a few followers of Prabhupada. Midua Prabhu wrote something there. Mother Malini wrote something there, and Teja Prakash Prabhu wrote something there, and yeah, just a day or two ago on Facebook, I saw something. Well, it's from a Mataji named Rama Devi Dasi, and I saw it on her Facebook, and she said, oh, she saw this book and she ordered it from Amazon, and she read it, and it was, she said, yeah, like when she was growing up in Krishna consciousness, and that's what like Malini and Madhua and Hanuman, who write the endorsement, they'll say like, yeah, like in one sense, it's very sad that this book needs to be written because like decades ago, this was just like axiomatic understanding. And like, well, why would you need to write that? But now it's just like more and more amongst Prabhupada's disciples, especially the intellectuals. It's just, oh, that's very, very passé, very, very regressive thinking to think that Prabhupada is infallible and this and that. So that's what she was writing, that she was reading things in the book, Srila Prabhupada Shastra, that she hasn't heard for many decades since her early days in Krishna consciousness. Now, like, yeah, she never hears that anymore, but so it was like, it was unsettling for her, but she appreciated it, In the foreword is written by Michael Gressett, Mahasomya Das. So he's a Software Advanced Seminar graduate, and yeah, so he writes kind of similar to what you just said, Damayanti. Yeah, he writes that he said, look, what's in Srila Prabhupada Shastra, the infallibility of Prabhupada, he said that's the sampradaya, that's parampara, that's shastric. And then he has a very nice sentence there. He says, and as far as the opposing view, well, let's face it, it's something other than the sampradaya teachings. It's something, maybe you like it more, but it's not parampara. What's in Prabhupada Shastra, that's parampara, conclusion. And he said, the opposing view is, let's face it, something else. Speculation, concoction. Hare Krishna. I thank you all. Thank you, Prabhus, for your association. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam
Jai.
Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai Prabhupada.